Hey everyone, welcome back to the pod. It's me, Bree.
And I'm Pastor John.
I'm Pastor Jason, guys. Thanks for joining in. What you got for us, John?
The one thing I wanted to start off talking about, since we've got Bree, since all of us are kind of involved, and you probably are knee-deep in writing your sermons for the next couple of weeks, college life is in high gear right now.
Yeah.
And we just saw one of our students from college life get baptized this week, and I just thought we need to let our church know, we need to let the community know that there's an active college program and why we're doing it, and kind of like maybe tell some stories about what is the good stuff coming up, how did it come to be, where do we end up with it, and where's the future of college life.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely feel a different type of energy where we're having the ministry, because right before it, youth groups in here. So you come in, it's already like high energy and everything feels really good, and then the college kids come right after that. And you know, people head off campus, so you probably don't even know unless you're here. That's true. Feeling all of that energy, what's taking place after youth group. And
yeah, I feel like most people are probably in bed by the time we're wrapping up college life.
Yes.
Sometimes, because we go a little later, which works for our college students, and it really gives them the space in the church without having to worry about disrupting anybody here, and they can.
Well, we don't have any other space.
Yeah, that's true.
We're completely out of space, especially during that hour on Wednesday night. I think it just comes out of the fact that there's a big gap in the church where we have so much emphasis on kids, and you have so much emphasis on teenagers and students. And then there's this weird gap that happens when you go to college or you're a young adult before you feel like you fully fit into the adult programming of the church. And there's this like chasm, there's this void where this whole generation is like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Well, as a youth pastor, for me, that was one of the most frustrating things. Was you would spend maybe 6 years with a student, and then it's like, all right, see ya, and it's like, well, you can rejoin the church once you're married
with you.
Once you're married with kids, and you can bring them to the kids program, then you can come back to the church. Yeah. And it's like, heck no, we don't want to be the church that says goodbye to our students when they hit 18. We want to keep them through those really important years so they're picking out like the major life decisions. And this church is a tradition of coming alongside that age group. Yeah. So it seemed like a no-brainer here.
This church has a long tradition of college ministry, and I can say that because I was a college kid in this church. Right. And, so it's always been a heartbeat, lifeblood of this church. In those early days for us, they fed us lunch every Sunday, and that really had us all there. Yeah. And there were times at that point, I mean, you guys won't even believe this. There were like 100 college kids on a Sunday just in that age group that would come and eat lunch and hang out. And a lot of the leaders in our church today, even now, board members and people that are teaching Sunday school and whatever, they're the college kids from that generation that are here. And so when we saw kind of that drop off, not just in this church, but like all over, I think just really, I have a passion for that age and that ministry, and have a passion because I say it all the time, it won't be like this for long. If you follow my Instagram, you'll probably see that hashtag every Friday. But the truth of the matter is, it won't be like this for long, that generation has to be the leaders of this church. Mm-hmm. And who's going to lead the church if we don't invest into that generation?
Right.
And I think another really cool piece is you've had several parents reach out to you and thank you for having the college ministry. Yeah. And we have a lot of students who they've been in their home church their whole life with their parents, and then they go to school, and then all of a sudden, it's that college decision of it's your turn now to decide if you're going to get up on Sunday morning, go to church, and to have that accountability to all of your other friends are headed to Concord, just hop in the car has been a huge blessing. And then on breaks, sometimes some students don't have cars, and their parents will come pick them up, and they'll visit us for the Sunday. So it's kind of cool to see the students with their parents here some Sundays.
You don't even know this. Yeah. On Sunday, I had 2 college students come and introduce their parents to me on Sunday, after church. They were like, hey, this is my pastor. And that was awesome to hear this college student say, hey, I want you to meet my parents.
Right.
And then, yes, to have that conversation with the parents and whatever, and be like, hey, thanks for doing this. When we launched in the fall, I remember a conversation with one student on campus at Trevecca where we were kind of hanging out. And she said, I've talked to a lot of churches. No church has something just for me.
Right.
They have other programs or they want me to be a part of their church, but they don't have something that's specifically for a college kid. Yeah. And that meant a lot to me that from their mouth, they were like, that's what I want. I want something just for me in this time.
I think it's cool too, since I've been here almost 2 years, we've had 2 college students we've had several that have actually joined our church as members. Yeah. We've had most of them volunteer, but we've had 2 actually come and get baptized. So one of those we just saw this past weekend, and his family was here, which is cool to see his parents and his girlfriend, like they were in the front row, the second row, like it's just really special when a college student makes such a bold decision and they want to do it here at this church, not even necessarily the church that was their fundamental years of growth. People have written off the younger generation and said that the younger generation is not hungry, doesn't want it, is rebelling, is moving away, and that's not true. Like when you have a conversation with a young person, you realize how hungry they are. They just haven't found an open space to have the conversations needed for where they're at. So, I mean, we do a whole podcast on this age group and college, but it's because Bree started this off by saying there's an energy in this place. Well, it's because that brings an energy to the entire church through, you're not going to build a church that's financially wealthy off college kids. Right. They're in debt. They're eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m. because that's all they can afford. And cookout. Or cookout. Yeah, for sure. But what you are going to see in an investment in the kingdom is all the places that they volunteer and all the places that they serve and all the places that they evangelize and share the gospel other places that's so important.
Yeah, I don't think that most of the church knows that you are a college pastor too, in the way that every week you're giving a sermon, you're putting a service together. Like you are putting so much into this program. And I got the chance last week to fill in and to do that. And the first thing I started off with the students was to let them know how appreciative this church is. Yeah. The fact that they bring that energy. I don't know if I use the word battery, but they bring that energy to our church. Yeah. And this church doesn't just run from the adult ministries. It runs from the younger people as well that are serving in so many different aspects. And I just kept thinking, all these college and career age kids that have decided to serve and to give of their time, which is our word for the year, they literally are responding yes to God, even though you mentioned like financially may not have a job yet, or you're not going to be able to keep the lights on if all we did was college ministry. But it does seem like the more we invest in that age group, the more God continues to reward us in all the age groups because of it.
That's important, because you said a lot about, I don't think people know about this ministry, or they're gone off campus by the time this ministry happens. I think that's really key, because no ministry is greater than another ministry. Right. So college is not greater, youth is not greater, kids are not greater, legacy group is not like it has to be a church that learns to live intergenerationally with one another, where we can live and learn from one another. Right. I was a college kid at some point. So right now, I'm definitely not a college kid anymore. But I can live into now sharing with a student that's in college what life looks like as, a husband of 20 years and a father and whatever. Like, they can learn from that. But I can still learn from them.
So like how to dress. Or what else?
The new TikTok trends.
That's right. You need to keep up with all the trends.
What is that? I don't understand a TikTok.
The new watches.
I think it's an app. I've heard rumors about it.
But that's good. College ministry is awesome. It's important. Yes. But that is a real key. Like in any church, you can't have one ministry that's greater than another. You've got to learn how to work cohesively together. That's the body of Christ.
Yep.
So,
I was thinking we are a little bit closer to Easter. which means if I have my days right, we're like day 24 of Lent, somewhere right there, based off our daily devotional. And I just figured, why don't we do like a mid-Lent check-in? Like
So we're going to ask the people.
Okay, we'll ask them. Maybe a little accountability on.
We're asking
on the
each other.
podcast. Yeah, like why not? Like throw it
Okay.
out there. How are you doing with it? But church, how are you doing with the things that you either gave up, took up, or both for Lent this year? And do you need us to jar you back into? Because I have people come up to me all the time, it's like, I already blew it. And it's like, kid, you didn't blow it.
Right.
You can get back right. Like you dropped the ball, you pick the ball up, and you keep playing.
Right.
And so we talk about that a lot with teenagers. They really feel the pressure of they have to be perfect. And I feel like there's a reason God gave us Jesus, because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And we need that grace. And so
We're 2.5 weeks out to Easter, right?
yeah, about that.
2.5 weeks. I will say, on Sunday, immediately after church, one of the students came up to me and said, hey, I think I'm behind in my reading plan. Do you know what chapter we're on right now? I need to catch up. And that was pretty awesome.
Turns out he was ahead. He was on chapter 16.
Looky there.
Okay, that's
I
pretty
talked to
cool.
him, and I was like, you're ahead of everybody, but that's okay. He's been reading a lot. He'll read every book of the Bible. Tell him to read, and so that's been fun.
That's great.
So cool.
But yeah, we're walking through Acts together, and I think all that started at Tate mentioned we have these district interviews for like licensed pastors once a year, and for me, in my interview, they asked me like, what do you need to improve upon or learn about? And I thought, man, I just need to spend more time in the book of Acts. Like God just kept putting that on my heart. And so I told them that, and they're like, yeah, you really should spend more time in the book of Acts. It's an incredible, like, to watch the birth of the church.
I love it.
And so I thought about it, and I was in the middle of trying to plan what we're going to do for Lent as a youth group, and it was, okay, we're all going to do Acts together. If this is what it looks like to become the new church, if our young people, like we say, are going to be the next generation of church leaders, I think we've got to be in this book together. And so it has spilled into Sunday morning Sunday school. It has just spilled into everything. And the more you're in the Word, the more things are going to spill over, and you're going to be able to use stuff. And it informs everything we're doing right now as a youth group is coming out of our daily devotional. What's fun is I do get numbers on who reads the devotion every week. Now, technically,
do they know that?
I think they don't watch the podcast. They
definitely don't.
But I can't see like who read. I can just see like how many people read this week's devotional when we put it out and stuff. And so I can see like the daily ups and downs of, all right, how many people are on this journey with us and paying attention. And that's been cool. But just to read the scripture and not even to do the devotionals, for some of these kids, that they don't have access to what. It's surprising, but there are teenagers in our group that don't even have access to the internet on a daily basis. Like their phones don't have the capabilities, or they have like whitelisted programs, and it's been funny to have that conversation with parents, like, okay, but could you put my daily devotional website on your kids
non-blacklisted?
Could you approve that for your kid? And it really brings me back to thinking how important it is that a part of what we're doing is trying to limit that exposure for our teenagers during Lent of how much time are you spending on all these apps on your phone and all the websites and all the things you're doing on your phone. And so that brings it back to, well, are we doing better at reducing screen time? Because that was one of our big challenges. Just reduce that screen time. Turn your notifications off during school so that you are not fidgeting with it, looking down and being distracted, and just give yourself time to live without the phone controlling your every moment. And so I've seen a lot of, as far as what our group is doing, I think it's been healthy for our group. For me, even Carrie, we were on vacation this weekend, and she was like, do you want to go get breakfast here? And I was like, look, I'm still fasting, and I know where I'm. And she's like, you're on vacation. You don't have, and I'm like, but I'm still fasting. And so it's like, we can get breakfast after 12. You know what I mean? Like, I just not until 12.
I think they call that in some cultures lunch.
Depends on how.
I think that's this culture.
I knew it was a Western world.
But so for me, I've been excited the more you get to show it off, the more it just encourages you to go, all right, well, I'm still doing it. I'm not giving up. And if there's people out there that have kind of fallen away from it, we still got like half of this bad boy to go. Like, get back on the train and let's finish and get to Easter strong. How about you guys?
Well, okay, just really quick, something I thought of while John was talking about, like, our screen time, is I've been thinking more and more, like, I need to pull out my Bible, because my kid needs to see me reading my actual Bible. And not just me reading it on my phone. Wow. And I remember, like, a couple of years ago, one of my friends in my small group, she had this same kind of realization when her child was about 2. And I thought, my kid doesn't, Tate reads the Word super early in the morning before we're all up, before the sun has come up. Yes. He meets the sun every morning. So he's not seeing Tate, like, physically in the Word. And then I'm reading it on my phone in my spare time.
And he doesn't know if you're watching Reels or
he has no idea. So I've been thinking, I need to get the current version of what I read. So my hard Bible that I've had for, 10 years is NIV, and I've been reading NLT for the past few years, and I just find it's just the version that I like the best. So I need to get an NLT version that I'm reading and physically reading, and like specifically for the accountability of our kids seeing.
I bet you could get that on Amazon.
I bet I could. I bet it could be here tomorrow morning.
Bree, you don't buy things off Amazon, do you?
Oh, gosh.
So I had a reading goal of how much that I wanted to read, a couple different pieces through Lent, and I'm 50% of where I wanted to be. Like, and I mean, that's not bad. I guess we're 50% through. But yeah, a couple of vacations, some travel, and some different things, pull me out. But and what I'm finding is how much God is talking to me through those things that I'm reading.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think God talks to me all the time, but he's specifically really speaking into a lot of things that are like way down the road for us as a church are like coming into focus right now. I was like, well, I was planning on talking about that later, or I thought we would handle that later. And it feels like God is preparing the way in a lot of ways during this season of Lent through some of that reading.
I'm in Chronicles right now. So it's like, you go through and you have this mental battle of, am I going to sit here and am I going to read every single name and every single tribe? So I started back in September, I started doing the chronological Bible. So in the order of it happens, so you kind of, you're skipping around back and forth. So that was one of my Lenten practice, was to take up reading the Word at least 5 days a week. And so I'm definitely not doing that if I'm being fully accountable. Like these guys, we went on vacation, but I'm hopping between Chronicles and Psalms.
All right. Well, speaking of vacation, we noticed on Sunday morning that you were a little.
I had a glow.
You looked radiant on the live stream. How did you manage to not get so sunburned like Pastor Jason?
Well, where we were, it was not near as sunny or reflective, apparently.
Apparently so. Yep.
I'm just kidding with you. All right. So I got this thought that we should talk through why we do some of the things we do over the span of the podcast. And one of the things we do at this church is we focus on our community a lot. We've kind of talked through some of the reasons, the way that we're reaching and serving, but we tend to have an event coming up, usually always within announcements. Like, once we finish an event, we're gearing up to start announcing the next community event. What is it about community events that are such a good way for us to interact with our community, and instead of, I guess, the other options that other churches may have to engage? But why do we pick community events to be one of these major ways we engage with our community?
I'll tell you, the biggest reason is to be known in the community as people that care about the community. Because if the Nolensville and Brentwood area just thinks we're another one of the churches down the road, why does it matter to them? Why are we anything to them, right? We want to be known as a church in the community that cares about the community, that puts into practice the practices of God. That creates a disarming way for people to come on campus. So if you come to our egg hunt in a few weeks, you're right there out on the lawn. If you come to Pumpkins and Pickin', you're right there out on the lawn. You're a part of the energy and the music, and there's not this abrasive like, oh, you've got to get saved right now, that's why you're here. It's, hey, why don't you get to know some people that are here? Why don't you get to know like what we're about and who we are? And that's easier for someone to come and stand on our lawn and hang out for a little bit than it is. Maybe it's intimidating and scary to come into the building for the first time when you don't really know anyone.
Well, we talked a couple of weeks ago, like evangelism today. Like, what does evangelism look like? We talked about we don't knock on doors and whatever, but you do create an environment where people can get to know the community that's around you. Create, develop relationships. We've, kind of decided that we really feel like, Christ was very relational and what he did and the relationships that he made. And we feel like that is probably the best way to evangelize today, is develop those relationships. And yes, offering something to the community through the care that we have for them allows us to develop relationships where, yes, maybe it's not today, but maybe when you do have a question, or maybe when you, do experience a storm or a trial and you don't know where to turn, you'll remember like that place that I bought a pumpkin for, like those people were really nice, and maybe they know something that would help me through this process. So, and they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean, look, being a Christian is fun. Like, let us not forget that that's, what we do is not dry and mundane and whatever. Like, we are supposed to live life. This is our entire life.
Right.
So I like to have a good time.
Yeah. So, that's a good point, because I think for a lot of churches that maybe are larger denominations or non-denominational, they're kind of on an island. I mean, when it comes to they're providing for their people and maybe an event for the community. I mean, I think it's not we're the only church doing community events.
Sure.
But what we're trying
to do,
especially
on Easter egg hunts, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what time is yours? Because I'm going to go to yours and yours and yours and yours.
Guilty. It's nice to go to one you don't work at sometimes.
It is. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, I always try to take my kids to other churches so they can experience, like, well, Daddy's not working right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But I was just thinking, like, our denomination, one of the things that makes it so special about events is, and I'm not just talking about the local community events, but we have events, and I think we kind of modeled our church around it, because we want to live life together at these events.
Yeah.
Right? This is our time where our kids grow up going to these things, because that's the fun part of being a part of this church, is they do a fun egg hunt. Or even when we get later into the season, we talk about Serve the City. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow, literally probably when this is coming out. People could be praying for us while we're planning where we're going to be serving and who we're going to be connecting with in the community during Serve the City.
Right.
But all these events that our kids grow up thinking that's just normal life.
That's true.
We get together, we love on each other, we help people. We're always thinking about the others, the outside of the church walls, people.
Right.
I don't want my kids to go to a church thinking that church just happens inside the building.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of interesting. We have this beautiful front lawn to put so many events on, but we're going to do some in the parking lot. We're talking about in the summer. Like, we're going to do all sorts of different options. Easter. We've got this indoor inclusive egg hunt. Like, we're utilizing the whole facility. And
I think the best thing that you said was we want our kids to grow up knowing that that's normal. That echoes exactly what Bree said about she wants, her child to see her physically reading the Bible and go, that's normal. That's what is important in life. And so the more that we can do in our everyday life, whether it's personally in our home or whether it is with our church, like, once we teach our children that is normal life and continue that on through college years and like, this is what normal life is, like, this is how it looks.
Right.
Like, that allows us to, remain connected to the body of Christ years later.
Absolutely.
And pass those traditions down. Like, that's life. That's what it looks like.
Bringing it back to the college group there. I like it.
Just saying, all generations, intergenerational.
Yeah. So what is your favorite event we do? We weren't going to say this. This is off the... I can cut this from the podcast if you want, but I really feel like each of us has our favorite, and I think the church should know that. Like, this is... Because I think I could guess y'all's favorites, but I might be
Jay's.
surprised.
That would be a fun game.
I know Jay's.
What do you think Jay's would be?
I know both of yours.
Do you?
Jay's is Nativity, and yours is Breakaway.
We're counting youth events as events?
I wasn't counting a youth event.
Because you would be dead right. Breakaway is the best event our church does. I mean, whatever.
Okay, youth pastor.
Yeah.
Says the youth pastor.
Followed by camp and NYC. Then we do all the other events.
Oh gosh, what would you say? Am I right? Here's this nativity.
Live nativity, hands down.
Jay loves nativity. We all love nativity.
I love the holidays, and I love that is an opportunity for us to spend the holidays with our church family and with our community family. Like, what better way than throw a party where like you have a whole celebration of the holiday, what the holiday is all about, and you get to do it here. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's camels. So
yes, and hot chocolate. Who's mad about that?
I like good hot chocolate.
Okay, so is it pumpkins and bacon then?
I mean, recently, it definitely was when we had somebody growing the pumpkins with us. Last year's was tough with the pumpkins. I really want to grow pumpkins this year. I'm addicted to growing pumpkins now. I don't want to go buy pumpkins. And so we should be pumpkin farmers. That's what I'm thinking. But man, that event is so good.
On the lower lawn at the church, we will now be growing pumpkins.
We need to look for
way too many
Brentwood
deer,
zoning.
I'm sure that we are not zoned agricultural here where the church
think
is.
so.
It just happened
I think it's residential
sprout
over
up.
there.
Yeah. No, Pumpkins and Pickin' is an incredible event. I plug that by saying, it's an all-church event, even though it's kind of been a youth fundraiser. It involves
what is more Tennessee than in the fall having good barbecue,
right?
Getting your pumpkins ready for the fall and hearing like great
banjo.
Music on a flatbed trailer. Like that's
come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's because the teenagers do help with so much of the event. Like they're running around, they're busy, they're in the serving line, they're face painting, they're helping run inflatables. So again, you have that like young energy.
You've convinced me. Pumpkins and Pickin'.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I was gonna say Breakaway because I got the chance to go. I mean, I used to go to Breakaway when I was a teenager, and I got to go this last year, and it was stressful because I volunteered to cook. And that was very, very stressful.
Adulting is hard, Bree.
Adulting is hard, and I know that because I love to cook.
That's true.
Cooking with 50 people without the proper cooking equipment.
Right.
Because unbeknownst to us, the Airbnb had like 2 pots, 1 pan, and no colanders.
You got to bring all your stuff just to be sure.
But outside of a youth event.
Yeah,
in all church.
Man, okay, so honorable mention to the children's musical because it is so sweet. Yep. So sweet.
Yes, it is.
I love to watch it.
Also stressful, if we're talking about stressful things.
Yes.
Working with a number of children to corral them.
Oh gosh, it's just so moving.
You often get pretty involved with at least blocking, if not close to directing that thing sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love it. I have a background in theater, and so that's always fun to be able to use my gifts where I can use them. So, but yeah, I like that. That's good.
I love that. So honorable mention, and then I'm probably Pumpkins and Pickin' too.
Okay, that's a good one.
It is the best.
It's so fun. And we kind of that was my first event that I did on staff here. It was like 2 months into us being here was the first annual Pumpkins and Pickin'.
Yeah.
And so it was like we all sat around a table and we were like, all right, what are we going to do with this?
There's something very exciting about planning an event for the first time.
Yeah.
Right? The second time where you're like, well, what did we do last year? The first time it's like, let's dream of all of
it
parts.
can't really fail because there's no litmus test for expectations.
I've been in the church for a long time. Things can fail.
It just hasn't happened here yet.
Right, right.
Things
you can have a really bad event.
No, and I think what you're trying to say, which is like, yes, you get some things that work, and so that's great. Like you try to improve them every year, but you know that they have a place. It's continuing to seek, like, God, what's next?
Yeah.
God, where do we go? Like, is there something else out there we haven't thought of? Is there another creative way that we can, become that invitation or that safe space that might fit a different group of people to come? And that's where it's at. Like, there is always an opportunity to create a new event, but it's trying to stay in God's will, man.
Yeah.
Not to do an event for an event's sake. Not to throw a party for a party's sake, but how do you, utilize the best of your resources to point back to the kingdom?
I think that's one of the cool things too is, and people don't know this about us most likely, but after every event we have an evaluation with our staff, and sometimes the spouses are involved in this as well, and it's a really good time to just be honest. Here's what didn't work. We do not want to do this again next year, and we have a running list of like, here's to what remember for next year. Here's what we want to what we want to add. Here's how we make this better.
Yeah.
And I think we have a lot of stuff to like continue to refine, to continue to make sure that we're aligned with God's vision for an event. And that is actually something that's really fun after an event, is to evaluate ourselves. And because our successes are together and our failures are together. So we know that it's not just operational by one of the people on staff or just one of the volunteers. It's all of us, all in everything together that we do.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes us unique, is our ability to work together very closely as staff. Is essentially, we've been working together for a long time.
And we're all friends, and we love each other's kids. We pray for each other. We can let each other know when we're going through something hard or good. Yeah. We're just all friends.
We're family.
Yeah, we are family. You can't say that like in a regular workplace, but when you're in church and you're on a church staff, like we are.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we should close this thing out with something helpful. You got something?
Well, last week I wasn't here, and you talked about your favorite restaurants in Owensville.
Let's get in on this.
Man, we're gonna have some hot takes.
You heard what Tate said about the Edleys and
I wanted to speak to that. I wanted to speak to that just for a moment. You kind of threw me out there. You were like, Jason's not here to defend like his barbecue joint.
Let's say you were here. What would you be saying to Tate right now? Let him have it.
Well, no, I mean, here's the deal. Like, between Martin's and Edley's, that's great. Like, we should create a segment on the podcast where it's just two choices.
Oh, I love that.
A defend. And this is a great one. A Martin's or Edley, debate and battle.
Yes. Food wars.
I guess I assumed you were Martin's all the way. What's the deal?
Here, as a Nolensville native, and when Martin's was built, the original Martin's was built here in Nolensville, I love the fact that Nolensville birthed this incredible barbecue place. It's like all over the place. It's great. Yeah. I love it. I love visiting Martin's. However.
Oh, no.
When I tasted Edley's, I mean, there's an unmistakable, Edley's is good, man.
Edley's is so good.
I love me some Edley's. I think there's definitely a place for Martin's and Edley's.
Agreed.
Right.
You can have both in the same week and be okay. Both in the same day, I'm not sure.
And I have a hot take on this because I'm with my husband. We're Edley's people. However, Martin's has better brisket. It's thicker. It's juicier. And Edley's is a little more dry.
Is this a food podcast?
I don't know. How did we get into
There's more energy right now about the food podcast.
She's super enthusiastic. It's juicier.
We're talking about evangelism, but brisket.
Oh, the brisket.
Woo! Let me tell you about everything.
All right, I will say,
mix brisket and evangelism.
If they're not out of it.
We did.
That's true.
We did. That's how we make
pumpkins and pickles.
But that is how you know you're a good barbecue joint.
That's true.
They're out of it. You came too late. Too many people already bought that today.
Yeah, for sure.
And that happens at Martin's quite often, where you get there for dinner and you're like, sorry, you
can't even get in there for dinner some nights though. Yeah. It's so crowded.
I think that is evidence that y'all are in the minority. Martin's is way better.
I think
there's a place for both.
I think there's a place for both, and I think it depends on what you had first. Because you grew up with Martin's, and I grew up going to Edley's more because I didn't start going to barbecue joints until I was in college, and we used to go to the Edley's on 12 South.
Let's just talk about how blessed we are.
I know.
That's true.
We live with a Martin's and an Edley's.
Yeah, within a couple miles.
Y'all live. The church is right in between them. It's perfect. Perfectly located.
However, we just talked about, the difference between those two restaurants. There's a little road that runs between those two restaurants that gets quite congested.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
So, yes.
And on Sunday, I got a little bit heated about when it came to grudges.
Yeah.
Traffic creates grudges.
That's right.
It really
Nothing creates grudges more than traffic.
If we want to talk about a relatable grudge,
yes,
it is what traffic in Nolensville will do.
Guys, it took me an hour this morning to drop my kid off. My in-laws live 15 minutes from here.
Did you go down Waller?
I went down Waller.
Okay.
And
John,
instead of turning on...
Please don't tell the secret of
I know.
Waller
I was
to
like,
all the viewers out there.
We tell our church people, right? Like, this is like travel hacks right now.
How many viewers are we up to now?
I think
double digits.
I think we're in double digits now.
Y'all, I had to go down Split Log. And Sam...
You went down Split?
Never mind. Because it was so backed up on Sunset.
Too much.
It was
This is
crazy.
too much. We are far in the weeds again. This is too much. I'm just saying that traffic is difficult in the
my
community,
goodness.
especially when it comes to turning left. But
So on
we
Sunday-
should not hold a grudge against
Yes.
the traffic.
Well,
So on Sunday, if you're going to go to a restaurant, despite the Nolensville traffic, where are you going?
Oh yeah. You told us how you felt about the Edleys and Martins, but you didn't tell us where's the number one spot for you to go
Yeah.
on
Sunday?
Where might people find Pastor Jason out at lunch?
I know where they went Sunday because I heard Steph say it.
Yeah, on Sunday, Martin's is usually our spot. Usually
There you
find us
go.
at Martin's.
I see. It's all about, you can talk all this Edley stuff, but where did you go spend your time and money?
Yeah,
went to
there you go.
Martin's?
That is
And
true.
it's probably more because it's on your way home. But I'm just
That's true.
one in the Martin's
close.
column there. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay.
Where'd you guys go on Sunday for church?
Where do we
Oh, you
go?
weren't. Yeah, normally.
I was like, man, I was not in Tennessee. No, I think I walked through this. I'm so on the Wings to Go thing right now
No, sorry. Yeah.
that it's not even funny. I mean, it's such a great atmosphere. It's full of teenagers from the community all the time.
We have talked more about food now than we have talked about
right.
Jesus.
Yeah,
So-
Jesus and food. But anyway,
Great pastimes of the Christian church.
if you are looking for a travel tip when you're leaving here, try taking Waller Road down into Nolensville to go to Martin's or Wings to Go. It
And
might
if you
help
have to go left, just don't.
yeah,
Just don't.
You know, the worst grudge is when someone does something like maybe cuts you off or doesn't let you out or something that makes you mad in Nolensville, but then you get up beside them and it's like somebody you know. You know, like,
That's not hard to do here.
I was mad at you for a few minutes, but now I got to let it go.
That's not hard
It's
to
so
do
much
here.
easier to be mad at a stranger that you're never going to see again.
That's
a good point.
We got to finish this up for the day, but grudges on Sunday really it hit some nerves on Sunday. This idea of all of us dealing with grudges, because I can't tell you how many conversations I had immediately following church and text calls within. But Monday I got a text, and the text said, "It is before 9 o'clock." And I've already had to put to practice some of
Sunday
the
sermon.
Wow.
tips that we learned from Sunday as far as holding grudges. And I was
Yes.
like, all right, so come back this week. It's week 2 of the grudge.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, you want to close us out?
Yep. Thanks for hanging with us for a little while. Hope you have a great week. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
See
See
you
ya.
later.